control over, but just remember, just because you're not getting there this time, that dream is still so valuable. Don't give up the dream. Keep pushing. It's worth it.
All right.
Yeah.
Too hard.
I don't even tell her.
I'm sad that we're going to be apart, but definitely for other sorts of expeditions. So, and I'm excited to go to the Kalahari.
It's kind of a crazy feeling, you know, just hanging on this limb, so excited and knowing that it could go either way.
The 12 adventure athletes have earned the right to continue on to the scorching sun and sand of South Africa's Kalahari Desert. This wild environment is the backdrop for a series of endurance challenges.
I think the scariest thing in the Kalahari is the heat.
Hey, man. Their survival skills are tested as temperatures soar past the 120-degree mark.
The bottom of my feet feels like I'm walking on coals already.
The global extremists continue to simulate the necessary skills needed for Everest. This breathtaking landscape holds numerous obstacles that will test their limits, both mentally and physically.
He was on the side of the road throwing up. Nothing was going well.
Individual as well as team skills will be further tested as the athletes continue their pursuit of making the final five. Before they can escape the sweltering heat of this desert setting, they must face the heavy burden of eliminating one of their own. Join us next week on ABC Sports. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Keyword ABC Sports. Everest. It remains the ultimate. Mount Everest. It remains the ultimate goal for adventurers. 12 amateur athletes vie for the unprecedented opportunity of climbing this great mountain. Raging rivers, blistering sands, and an around-the-clock 120-mile endurance race are all that stand between those that go on and the one who goes home.
So I'm definitely not the fastest one here.
We've all kind of decided amongst ourselves who we think is probably going to go to Costa Rica.
I'd eliminate you.
But will the endurance race push Darren Wells past his physical limits? Or will Trent Young hit her breaking point?
Riding by myself in the back quite a bit, I'm probably a little too much time to think.
And I've even had to stop myself thinking, gosh, are they talking about me right now?
I'll be able to make that decision as to who I think should stay and who I think should go.
It began with 50 athletes in Moab, rock, river, and sand. Next, 24 confronted the Rocky Mountains. Today, 12 braved the Kalahari's scorching sun. 11 will face Costa Rica's heat and humidity. And finally, Iceland's Arctic winter will determine which 5 will have the opportunity to climb Mount Everest. Africa. At its southern extreme sits the crown jewel of the continent, South Africa. And on its northwest border lies the Kalahari Desert. This barren landscape will be home to the global extremists for 3 weeks and is still inhabited by the Bushmen as well as exotic creatures. This is the setting for the next round of elimination that will culminate in a 120-mile around-the-clock endurance race.
I think the scariest thing in the Kalahari is the heat.
The region will define new strategies.
You see the guys who weigh 140 pounds gliding over the sand. And I'm sticking 4 inches into it with my bicycle.
They will face a number of adventures that will be complicated by the soaring 120-degree temperatures.
The bottom of my feet feels like I'm walking on coals already.
The Toyota 4Runner will prove more essential than ever as the athletes encounter a few new surprises.
If you get zapped by this, you can forget about continuing your competition.
The desert will be the last stop for one of the athletes.
I think nobody knows what's going to happen next few days.
If I have an opportunity come my way, I was raised that Don't think about what's going to happen in the future. Just seize that opportunity and go for it.
I'm actually kind of chomping at the bit. I mean, I'm ready to get some exercise. I spent 3 days traveling to get here.
I know we're all used to pushing ourselves in colder environments.
We are on a plane for 2 days, and then it's the middle of summer, and it's just one extreme to the other.
It's 10 or 12 years since I've really been in the heat and sun for any sort of long period.
We all look around and say, you know, this is probably just exactly how it should be.
I really think that I'm a good individual to be on a team like that for Everest because, you know, I will, you know, help out whenever the need is there.
Hey? Global Extremes is a perfect example of one of those great challenges that excites me and what wakes me up in the morning and gets me fired up when I'm eating breakfast.
As the sun began to set on the first evening in the Kalahari, the athletes joined the Bushman celebration.
I made the first round, I made the second round, and here I am now. And preparing to come here, it was hard to do it. It was hard to get out of my comfy little routine, and which I love.
Later in the evening, the global extremists are taken out into the bush and learn about the dangers they may encounter. A crucial lesson as they prepare to live in and traverse through the Kalahari, both day and night.
Okay, come over here. Here's something really special. There are only 2 black scorpions here, and both of them are very poisonous. This one here, it's the only scorpion in South Africa that has caused known deaths. The venom that these animals produce is very similar to cobra venom. That's a nerve poison, and it affects the central nervous system, and most people die of shock or paralysis of the nerve to the diaphragm. They can't breathe. So what you have to do is give people antihistamines and tranquilizers to stop them going into shock, get them into hospital as fast as possible, and get them onto an artificial lung. Otherwise, they can die. It's usually after 3 days, then people can breathe again. And then after that, you've got 8 to 10 days of wishing you were dead.
Dawn in the Kalahari, and the athletes take a morning jog as a first step to acclimate to the intense heat. The global extremists are divided into 3 teams of 4. Team Shackleton is made up of Samantha Gearing, a Brown University graduate who teaches skiing in the winter. Darren Wells, an outdoor leadership school instructor in Wyoming. Eric Kapitulik, a Naval Academy graduate and captain in the Marine Corps. A veteran of the Antarctic Rescue Team, Troy Henkels, works in telecommunications. Magellan makes up the next team with new father Jesse Rickard, a broom maker and carpenter from Colorado. Andy Cora owns a sports shop and is a former U.S. whitewater kayak champion. Colleen Inkin, an ER nurse and incredible mountain athlete. Paramedic firefighter Trent Young enjoys the oceans as well as the mountains. The final team of 4 is Columbus, a group of strong athletes, including Petite Pinson, a teacher from California who's a free spirit and enjoys the outdoors. Aspen, Colorado's Ted Mann waits tables at night so he can ski during the day. Midwesterner Jesse Haynes from Phillips, Wisconsin is a heavy equipment operator. Czech immigrant Jan Hansa Fiala makes his home in the New Mexico high country. The expert judge for the Kalahari expedition, Kathy Sasson, knows endurance racing as a member of numerous winning teams in the world's top adventure races. Kathy's level of competitive racing makes her the ideal person to plan this first international stage of global extremes. Joining Kathy are 2 local South African experts. Sonia Otto is a sports medicine specialist and one of South Africa's top adventure athletes. Sonia's husband, Hanu Otto, is a former state prosecutor and is also a professional adventure racer and a course designer. Kathy was one of 4 expert judges that selected the 12 athletes for the Kalahari. She now has a surprise in store regarding the elimination process.
Every good team knows its own strengths, but it also knows its own weaknesses. And going forward, after our 3 weeks here in South Africa, the last place team will have to evaluate its own weaknesses and eliminate one person itself. So remember something very important. In moving on to Costa Rica and then on to Iceland, even the weakest team can become the strongest team.
It changes things to a certain extent. If anything, it makes everyone take it a little bit more seriously, I think.
This is very different to be judged by your peers and your friends. I mean, all of us are becoming good friends. We're having a lot of fun together. So people are not pleased that we're going to be making the decision to eliminate each other.
It's going to be pretty unfortunate to be last place, because having to cut someone from your team is probably going to be the hardest thing that we will have to do.
I guess we'll know who is the weakest, but only time will tell. It might be me. Who knows?
Next, high temperatures lead to flared-up tempers as the teams try to work together.
No, stop! There's a road that just went off to the right. I have the map, and I'm going to keep looking at it. So I'm not telling you to stop for no reason.
No,
okay?
cool. You're on the map.
Yeah.
Nice call, Sam.
Global Extremes Mount Everest, Forerunners of Adventure on ABC Sports. Brought to you by the all-new 2003 Toyota 4Runner. Larger, more powerful, more capable. Rolling Rock Beer. Grab a rock. Yahoo Sports, the official internet partner of Global Extremes. And Subway. Eat fresh. In the initial Kalahari stage race, each team has a different strategy for success.
Our strategy is to start out together on the run, take off on our own, shoot all out, and head for the finish line as fast as we can.
We're stronger as a team rather than as a group of individuals because each one of us has certain strengths and weaknesses that the other team members can help to alleviate.
Our best bet is just to go out fast and hard as individuals in the race. If there's real intense navigation, we want to just make sure everybody stays on track. But we have some good workhorses on this team, so we're going to use them.
With only a hand-drawn map, the teams have to pay particular attention to their surroundings in order to keep their bearings.
Troy, stop! The road forks. That's straight, right here? And then, well, I don't know, but I'm not. Eric!
What, are we stopping or no?
Just stop!
Well, come on!
No, stop! The road forks. There's a road that just went off to the right. I have the map, and I'm going to keep looking at it. So I'm not telling you to stop for no reason, okay?
No, cool. You're on the map.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. That's why they were there. Nice call, Sam.
Definitely today I was navigating, and, you know, I made some good decisions. You know, everybody gets so excited, and everybody gets so riled up that you end up making these huge mistakes, and then, you know, things just start to go wrong because you're not taking the time to double check.
Team Columbus isn't as sharp as Shackleton, and now are hopelessly off course. It seems no one has stepped into a leadership role.
There's the water trough. We were supposed to turn right at the water trough.
Did you see one back there?
Yeah, right where the vehicle was. We just ran like 10 minutes.
We've had some challenges so far. It hasn't been so much that we haven't been getting along. It's more, well, let's figure out who needs to navigate, how will we make our decisions instead of everyone jumping in and saying, well, let's go here. What are we going to do, you know?
So obviously we're at that water trough.
No, we're not here. We're nowhere near here, I don't think.
We're here somewhere.
Magellan's team dynamics are mature and steady.
Oh, I think all the teams are pretty even. We might not be the strongest team, but I think we have a really mature and level-headed team. You know, I don't think we're going to have the argument, disagreement type things that can really bring a team down.
Each member of Shackleton respects their teammates, but only Darren struggles with Sam's leadership.
There's a trough right there on the right.
So to me, it looks like there's a little arc.
It's got to be
just to the right of this thing, so I think that's where we want to go.
I mean, am I crazy? I'll shut up.
No, I think that we should go to the top of the dune and have a look, and then we'll know.
Then let's go.
You don't have to tell you that this is taking us
back to the place. I think we should go this way, but I think we need to make a decision fast. So it sounds like y'all are leaning towards that way, so let's just go.
Sam, as the navigator, what do you want to do?
Taking this road is heading us this direction.
Other way. Yeah, no track.
I just don't think that's...
All right, let's go then.
Sam is right up on the left corner.
Sam's a very strong athlete, and her abilities are going to help our team win, and that's the most important thing.
Shackleton is firmly in the lead. Team Columbus is finally back on track, but Hansa is suffering.
Hansa was having trouble. It was a hot day, and he was affected by it, and he was falling back, and that's one of the challenges we face now, especially being on teams. That's what happens.
Hansa had a hard day. So I think he underestimated a little bit of the day. I mean, he showed up in sandals because he didn't think the run was very long. He didn't have a Camelback. I'm not sure why. He was drinking out of a water bottle, and then at that only had very little water.
With temperatures pushing well into triple digits, no mistake goes unpunished in the Kalahari.
At the end, I was kind of approaching a little bit of heat stroke, and my right foot started burning pretty bad. Fortunately, I found some cardboard.
Then I'm gonna fix it a little bit.
Gaping. It's a mere flesh wound.
Man, those trees like me.
It was the weirdest thing to shiver, you know, in the middle of the day. It was 120 degrees Celsius, and I just felt like, what's wrong? Everybody's so hot, and I'm cold.
Too hot. Probably 120. And I was getting a little dizzy at the end.
I'm so happy to be on my bike. I might not be saying that in a couple of hours, but right now I'm real happy to be on this bike.
The second stage in the race has the athletes transitioning to mountain bikes for a long, hot, dusty ride across a dry desert pan. The athletes must balance navigation and speed in search of the next checkpoint.
See the white in the distance? That's where we want to end up. Oh, we know it's down there. They're cutting across the plain there, which might be a darn good idea.
The teams make a fast break for where they think the next checkpoint should be.
We can break, we definitely want to get a...
Columbus is sidelined with a flat, but the team rallies to fix it. The stop has knocked them out of first. Magellan and Shackleton make the most of Columbus's predicament and quickly open up a narrow lead. The two teams are in a dead heat.
We do a good job of drafting off of each other here, going across sand flats. It's just the first guy who's taking it bad. Who's taking it in the shorts.
You're a good guy in that position.
For Eric Kapitulik, it takes more than a gung-ho attitude to overcome a fence. Having fixed their flat, Columbus tries to make up for lost time as they reach the next transition point. The teams will abandon their bikes and head out once again on foot.
When you're in the lead and then you're not in the lead, well, that's where the cussing comes from.
By 10 a.m., all three teams have moved into the dunes, just in time for the hottest part of the day. Team Magellan has shot ahead of the others and appears to be on their way to a first-place finish.
Fence crosses here, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, follow this road for quite a while.
Although seemingly confident, Jesse Rickert just made a grave navigational error. Columbus wisely does not follow.
Yeah, we gotta go straight across from here, where they are now. But they're, I don't know, is that right?
Ted Mann and his team watch as Magellan heads in the wrong direction.
They might be on the wrong bearing.
Shackleton breaks through the dunes and battles neck and neck with Columbus. Columbus falls behind Shackleton on the sweltering salt pan.
I don't appear to be inside the difference.
They are no match for Shackleton's speed. Magellan is completely oblivious to the fact that they are off course. Shackleton arrives and delivers the bad news that they have missed a checkpoint.
I'm not trying to screw you. It's back there.
Okay.
It's on the sand flats?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's at a little house.
Man, if they already got it, we're screwed. So,
Yeah.
like here?
Yeah, that's it.
In misplotting the checkpoint, Magellan must now backtrack several hours.
Just kind of adds a little bit of stress knowing that at the bitter end, if you do come in last, you have to eliminate somebody.
That's a bummer. Big bummer. Everybody was, Trent was coming on strong here in the heat at the end. We could have, we had it in the bag if we hadn't missed that point.
Our hope of winning has gone from 100% to 0%, so Now we're just trying to survive the heat and think about the next race.
The teams load up their four-wheel drive vehicles with crock boats for the rugged journey to the banks of the Orange River. This will be the last stage before the around-the-clock 120-mile endurance race. Team Magellan is currently in last place. Team member Andy Cora is a two-time national kayaking champion, and this will give them a huge opportunity to close the gap in the river race. The crock boats prove difficult to maneuver. Even experienced paddlers such as Team Shackleton's Sam gets herself stuck. Magellan's Jesse Rickard and Trent make the most of Sam and Troy's predicament and swiftly paddle past them. Shackleton's Eric and Darren lose their line and get hung up on a boulder. While Columbus's Hansa and Ted show little signs of control and pinball off the rocks. Even with all his whitewater experience, Andy takes a spill, taking Colleen with him. Meanwhile, Hansa is blissfully unaware that his co-pilot Ted has completely upended. At the finish line, Magellan is triumphant, finally winning their first race in Africa. The upcoming 120-mile endurance race will ultimately determine which team will have to lose a member. In 2 weeks, Global Extreme's Mount Everest Forerunners of Adventure takes you to Costa Rica. Our 11 remaining athletes will endure the treacherous tropical rainforest and eliminate 2 of their own. Saturday, May 3rd at 2 Eastern, 3 Pacific, right here on ABC. The cliffs of Riemsvasmak are where the athletes practice their Jumar and rappel skills on a 300-foot cliff. Looking on in amazement at the athletes' progress are inhabitants of Riemsvasmak, the Nama tribespeople. Showing no fear, one by one, the global extremists rappel down the cliff. These skills are critical during the final event, where the athletes will have to complete a ropes course in the black of night.
Sweet!
The apartheid government kicked the Nama off their land in the 1970s. Since the end of apartheid, the Nama have regained ownership and returned to their native homeland. The townspeople of Riemsvasmak welcome the athletes with open arms.
I really felt like, hey, we are here. This is Africa. And to see that instrument and how beat up it was and how ancient it looked, and that he was able to get some chords out of it and some rhythm and mix it in with the accordion and the singing. It was pretty neat.
Not all activities require fierce competition. The athletes take time to practice their four-wheel drive skills for a fun event that does not count towards the overall standings. The Kalahari offers many tracks dedicated to off-road driving. Kathy Sasson has organized a video game hunt, utilizing these SUVs in order to track some of the amazing wildlife of the Kalahari.
See, that's aardvark. Right there.
Oh, yeah. Stop.
3 o'clock right now.
The teams have to track and identify animals, recording their findings on videotape.
What we have here is our aardvark track one more time.
This is right after the turn. We go a little ways after the turn, right?
Yeah, definitely. Check out the ostrich. Oh, yeah.
Team Magellan's poise and discipline enables them to track and stealthily approach the skittish animals.
Hey, that was a 4-pointer there.
We have 2 steenbocks, and it looks like there's definitely a mom and a smaller one, a doe.
Okay, we're coming right up on these guys.
Shackleton has completed the race with plenty of time to spare. Team Magellan comes across the finish line just behind Shackleton and well ahead of the mandatory cutoff time.
There's our ostrich taking off right there. We should probably get going back because we know we only have a few minutes. Okay.
2 minutes to go.
You know, Kathy's just thinking, we're not going to make it.
Oh my, we have at least a mile. How much time?
We have a minute.
1 minute. 19.
Well,
18,
what can we get
17.
2
16.
There's a tent. There's a tent.
We have 5 seconds.
Not there yet.
Oh, 3, 4, 2, 1.
The final seconds tick down for Columbus. Their only hope? That they scored well while tracking.
Springbok? Yeah. These are Springbok tracks. He's got the track right.
Extra credit is given for the best animal impressions. Camp life for the athletes consists of brief moments of tranquility. Each athlete brings their own recipe for success as they prepare for the final 120-mile event.
Better living through chemistry.
Don't take any vitamins, but sometimes I take vitamin I.
I really like to eat while I'm racing is fresh fruit because it's the easiest way to get the good sugars.
I carry my salt and pepper around.
Antibiotics in case you get something funky here. What's this one? I don't even know.
Really stick to granola bars, sometimes energy bars, and if I'm sore or in pain at all in the muscles, a little Motrin or ibuprofen does the job, and that's about it.
Yeah, pretty much just the air I breathe.
Today's show, tomorrow's show, yesterday's show, I don't know. Global extremes, it ain't about fashion. Proceed with passion. There's a mountain out there between Tibet and Nepal, and yes, it's over 29,000 feet tall. To stand on the summit, see the world, make me a happy girl. To come back down, safe and sound, spread that feeling all around. Shh, what's that sound? There's something powerful here. It's about facing your fears. It involves reaching for a dream no matter how far it seems, falling and getting up. Wake up, it's time to go. The Global Extreme Show, late.
Just ahead, the all-or-nothing ultimate event. 120 miles stand between one team having to eliminate a member. Team Magellan is in third place overall. They are in jeopardy of having to eliminate a team member. Columbus enters the final event in second place, while Shackleton is the overall leader in the Kalahari. The final endurance expedition covers a distance of over 120 grueling miles. The overnight course will have the global extremists battling water, rock, sand, and a scorching sun, putting all of their skills to the test. The first mountain bike leg takes the global extremists through the maze of vineyards that line the banks of the Orange River. Magellan and Shackleton immediately make a wrong turn.
Yeah, up by that water tank?
Yeah, maybe where those houses are. Okay.
Team Columbus makes a straight line to the checkpoint and transition to crock boats. They now face a 15-mile flat water sprint.
It went really good. Magellan got lost in the grapevines somewhere.
We started doubting ourselves, so we turned around and we shouldn't have.
Magellan is just moments behind.
1 hour into a 40-hour race. I'm not going to sweat it quite yet.
I think you can't freak out at this point.
Okay, 23, baby.
Magellan's paddling skills prove strong as they overtake Columbus and reach the next transition in first place. This section requires the teams to portage their crock boats.
I got a big, strong Marine on my team. He gets to carry all the heavy stuff.
I did not insist. Believe me, I've been carrying this boat by myself. I think that by the time it's all over, I'll have the information that I need, that if we are the last place team, I'll be able to make that decision as to who I think should stay and who I think should go.
The teams navigate their way to checkpoint 5, overlooking spectacular Agrabis Falls.
Trying to find checkpoint 5. The river went well. Now we're at the big falls.
Any lead is momentary as the teams remain in striking distance of one another.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Cool.
At this point, it is still anybody's race.
The teams don't seem too apprehensive about the next section, but if they've looked at their maps closely, after this nighttime biking, they are never going to want to put their seat on a bike again.
14 hours into the expedition, the sun begins to set, and Trent begins to feel the strain. She slips back and struggles to maintain pace with her teammate.
My energy was starting to just go down and definitely starting to feel like I was bonking, but I wasn't really realizing it. I just thought that I was miserable. And finally, I couldn't keep up with my team, my 3 teammates at that point, and I started kind of majorly feeling sorry for myself. I got to the top and just kind of had a little meltdown, and Kelly looked at me, she goes, "You need some food."
I need that food. I don't have much left in my pockets.
No, you got a lot of crap in your pockets.
I think we need to take like a 3-minute break and get some food and Trent and get some food and everybody.
Yeah.
I've been riding by myself in the back quite a bit. I'm probably a little too much time to think about how much this ride is sucking for me.
Sorry, you guys. Hey, don't apologize, okay? We're out here for 36 hours. It can happen to anybody. Let me get your pack.
Yeah, no apologizing.
You know what? Why don't we just stick that in your pack? Oh, you're using...
Energized by food and rest, Magellan cycles off into the night for the final 37 miles of the mountain bike traverse. At hour 17, first place Shackleton suffers a staggering blow.
And then Darren got sick. And as soon as he got sick, that's when the race began for us.
It's been throwing up a lot. And obviously that's not good out here in the desert. So he just needs a few minutes.
But we're happy to stay here for as long as you want.
He was on the side of the road throwing up. Nothing was going well, and he just wanted to push on and keep going. And he continued to try to move ahead, and that impressed me.
Will Darren be able to complete the race? Or is Team Shackleton finished in Africa? The answer when Global Extremes returns. Magellan pushes on in the lead.
I did feel during the race that I was holding my team back, and I felt bad about it. That's part of what got to me that night. I was thinking, God, I can't keep up. We're gonna lose because I'm slow. I don't have it in me to carry this thing very far.
In the past, Team Magellan's navigation errors have been detrimental to their performance in the Kalahari.
Well, we've just come around a pretty significant curve, right? Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a glow stick. I don't see how the heck we could have passed it.
Once again, navigation is Magellan's downfall, allowing Columbus to move into the lead.
If you pass the rock and look to your left, it's down low on a little rock.
Wait, it's on the left?
No. It's on the left if you're going back.
You guys barely missed it.
All right. Well, we got to go back and get it.
It's red and it's left.
Shackleton finally arrives at the climb site, and Darren is still suffering.
You're totally welcome to get any medical you want, and it's not like you're penalized or anything like that. So if you want to get an IV or, you decide that for yourself.
Ooh, that burns. I've got a rash from tubing. Ow, that hurts. Wow.
Darren's teammates head through the rope course, anticipating his recovery.
Well, it's an unfortunate night. I mean, it's really hard to see your teammate be so sick.
Feeling a little better. Now it's time to go climb the ropes.
The IV has proven effective, and Darren finds new strength to continue on.
Okay, now we're in third place now, and I know that we're in third place by quite a bit because it really slowed us down with Darren being sick. So if we're going to win this race, we need to get going and get going quickly.
We don't know what's going on ahead of us. So all we can do is press and continue to race. Attack. That's it. Just attack.
Leaving their bikes at the transition, Columbus trudges forward to the next checkpoint.
And, you know, we're not necessarily the team that stands out or talks out all the time, and we're like this silent weapon that just plods along.
This is the Toyota Inspirational Snapshot of the Day, brought to you by the all-new 2003 4Runner. Get the feeling.
Hook it to Tran. You know, it just gives the slightest little bit of pull, but it makes a difference, and I can set a faster pace. It makes it a lot easier for her to keep up.
I'm tired. I'm looking forward to it being over. I'm looking forward to that dip in the river. I definitely don't feel like we have even a second place in the bag. We still feel like Shackleton's back there somewhere.
I'm gonna finish, and you know, I basically lost the race for us, so you know, I'm sure that means that I'm not going to Costa Rica.
Victory is secured as Columbus crosses the finish line in first place. Conquering the Kalahari after 120 miles, all 4 team members will continue on together to Costa Rica.
Remember when we started on cultural loop there, then we became underdogs after that performance, mine, really, mainly.
It was not.
But we turned it into positive, and here we are, the champions. All right.
Incredibly, Magellan finishes only minutes later. All thoughts of past mistakes have been wiped from their minds. They, too, will advance to Costa Rica as a team.
You are awesome.
I can't imagine quitting. It would have just stunk to be like the last person across the finish line at 10 o'clock at night or something tonight. But I would have done that rather than quit.
2 hours after the others, Shackleton comes across the finish. It is a stunning development and a bitter pill to swallow. The most consistently strong team throughout the Kalahari expedition has shockingly finished last. The improbable has happened. The team members of Shackleton must now eliminate one of their own. As elimination looms, have secret alliances formed within the team.
We're going under.
The burden of eliminating a member falls upon Team Shackleton.
If you tell me that you want me to not go to Costa Rica with you because I blew this adventure race, that's fine, I can accept that. I'm glad that I crossed the finish line with y'all. I guess that was important to you. I don't think I'm getting much credit for it here, but it doesn't really matter. You know, this race was over last night when I got sick and overslept, and you know, we couldn't make up the time today. I wanted to do it, but if you think that I'm not the best person to be roped up on Everest with, then I think you're wrong.
If I put myself on Everest, I want to feel like I'm up there with people who care about the team of people that were up there. And I guess what you demonstrated to me today, this afternoon, was that I didn't feel like that was important to you.
Well, sorry. I care. Climbing mountains is different from adventure racing in the Kalahari.
What do I judge it from? I mean, I judge it from my experiences with you. I haven't climbed mountains with you. You didn't care about the unit as a team.
You know, the fact that you weren't strong yesterday or last night has absolutely no bearing on my decision as to whether or not I would want to climb Mount Everest with you. The thing that bothered me today is just, I guess you and I just don't look at the whole finishing the race together as a team. We just look at it differently.
I don't disagree with you guys. I mean, what do we have to base it on? One race.
I guess my only complaint is that y'all could have been honest with me then and said, look, you know, we're gonna vote for you to leave, and you know, do you want me? If you had asked me, if you had said that and then still asked me to finish the race, I would have. I was willing to just withdraw. So I was willing then, and now that I've heard what you have to say, I'm willing now. So, but there we go. It's done. Whoever you end up on Everest with, you know, I hope they know how to take care of you in high altitude conditions and hope they got good mountaineering skills. How fast they push their bike through sand, you know, may be different. I don't know, that's all I have to say. I'm done. This conversation is what I didn't want to have when I brought that up. That's why I wanted to just not finish.
You know, it'd be nice to have a night to sleep on it. I'm not sure the outcome would change, but maybe how it was executed and how, you know, we get up tomorrow and talk to each other might be a little different. I don't know.
The next morning, Eric approaches expert judge Kathy Sasson about his previous day's decision.
Kathy, the reason why I wanted to talk to you was last night when I actually had some time to sit down and think about it, I realized that I had made the wrong decision. I would really like us to be able to get together again as a group and rediscuss what our decision was before.
I'm happy to let you guys reconvene and talk about it again and see what happens this time. Sure.
What will Shackleton's final decision be? Who will go home? The final outcome when we return. Global Extremes Mount Everest, Forerunners of Adventure on ABC Sports. Brought to you by the all-new 2003 Forerunner. Larger, more powerful, more capable. Subway, eat fresh. Expedia.com, don't just travel, travel right. And John Deere, nothing runs like a deer.
I wanted to have this meeting because this is my admission that I was wrong in my decision yesterday. And if I made the wrong decision about Darren, then who would I choose? Although initially I would say that I was like, okay, I made the wrong decision about Darren, and Sam and I are different, and Sam would be my choice. There's things that Sam has done that I've looked at weird. Now, could she say the same thing about me? In spades, she could. She could say the same exact thing about me. It's as much my fault that we don't get along all the time as, you know, if anybody's, you know?
The only thing I can think about to make this decision is looking back on my mountaineering experience and saying, who would I want to be roped up with in a three-person team up high? And it's Eric and Troy. But I'm not going to make it easy by just throwing in the towel. If I have to pick a name, then, you know, I'd eliminate you.
Okay, well then my pick's Darren. For no other reason than randomness. And that's the only reason. Please believe me.
I mean, my choices are pretty, you know, if I say anybody else, then I don't get to go. And to be honest, Darren, I meant what I said yesterday. I did. I mean, I really thought as a team we tried to help you. And then when you were feeling better, I really did honestly feel like it was all about you and all about you going to Everest or not going to Everest, and that it wasn't about a team. And to me, the crucial thing is to be up there and to, if I'm up there, to be with people who I really think are going to have like the bigger picture to want to take care of each other.
I said my piece, Troy sort of, kind of said his, you know, Sam said hers. Let's just, okay, we made our decisions, now let's move on.
How do we move on with two names? That's the question.
Deadlocked, they turn to the expert judges.
The team is split. Both Darren and Eric feel that they wouldn't want to be roped up with Sam on the top of Mount Everest. And Sam and Troy feel that they wouldn't want to be roped up with Darren. So if I have to make the decision between Sam and Darren, Darren was a more volatile personality and potentially could be much more of a problem in an extremely dangerous situation when he has to work with a team.
Initially, I wasn't that much impressed with Samantha in some of the previous races. I thought she had an agenda of her own. She was just looking after herself. But last night, or the previous evening, at checkpoint 13 and 14, She really impressed me as being a fantastic team player.